I've raised Hussen's cat for 5 years, but tonight, it suddenly bit me as soon as I entered the door. Sitting in the car on the way to the hospital, I suddenly came to understand some cats can never be tamed to be truly affectionate. Cats are like this, and people are no different. So after I got home, I brought up the topic of divorce to Hussen. He furrowed his brows and asked me in confusion, "Just because the cat bit you?" "Yeah, just because of it." Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Have you thought it through? There's only 1 month left until our 5th wedding anniversary. Hussen was holding the cat in his arms, idly playing with its tail. It's strange to say that after Hussen and I got married, he rarely came home, and the number of times he saw the cat could be counted on one's fingers. Obviously, I was the one who fed it every day, but it only liked Hussen. I shifted my gaze away from the cat and said calmly, "I've thought it through. I'll leave the marriage with nothing. After you sign the papers, we can go through the divorce procedures tomorrow." After saying that, I placed the divorce agreement in front of Hussen. Hussen glanced at the documents on the table, then looked up at me with a frown. His tone was full of confusion. "Ranching, just because Cece bit you, you want to divorce me and give up our 5-year marriage?" Cece is the name Hussen gave to that cat. Hearing Hussen call it, Cece raised its head and meowed affectionately, its voice very soft, completely different from the warning growls it usually gave me. Yeah, I retracted my gaze and nodded. Just because of it, this was true. I was really able to make up my mind to propose divorce to Hussen, thanks to Cece. Yesterday, when the new drama was about to start filming, the director suddenly told me, "You've been replaced." I knew the actress who replaced me recently. Her name and Hussen's frequently appeared on the hot search together. It was hard not to notice, coupled with the fact that the Hu family was the investor of this drama. So without thinking, I directly called Hussen. "Did you mean to replace me?" Hussen's tone was nonchalant. "It was me." His attitude was tough, and the reason he gave me was, "The Hu family doesn't need you to go out and earn money. You just need to take good care of Cece at home." With just one casual sentence from Hussen, all the efforts I had made for this drama were in vain. I was forcefully sent home by my assistant. When I was changing shoes at the entrance, Cece suddenly rushed out and bit me. Looking at the wound on my arm, my emotions suddenly broke down. I had raised Cece for 5 years, but it still regarded me as an enemy. It hated me, never allowed me to get close, and would attack me if I wasn't careful. The cat was like this, and Hussen was the same. We had been married for 5 years, and he was still cold to me. He still refused to make our marriage public. In the eyes of outsiders, he was the unmarried heir of the Hu family, and I was an unknown actress in the entertainment industry. There was no connection between us at all. The only time we were associated was when we accidentally appeared in the same frame. I was sent to the hot search by his rumored girlfriend, who regarded me as the third party interfering in their relationship. I was really fed up with this kind of life. I didn't want to continue being a free nanny for a cat that couldn't be tamed, nor did I want to live this furtive life with Hussen anymore. We didn't have children, and there was no property division. Divorce was simple, just like when we got married. We just went to get a marriage certificate together and had a meal with his parents. The only requirement for Hussen to agree to marry me was to keep the marriage a secret. So we didn't have a wedding or any other ceremonies. After coming out of the divorce procedures, Hussen motioned for me to get in the car. "Grandma wants to see you." I was suddenly a little dazed, as if time had gone back 9 years. At that time, my family had just gone bankrupt, and my parents had passed away. My relatives avoided me like the plague, for fear of being pestered by me. I had nowhere to go on the street when Hussen suddenly appeared like a god. When people are in despair, a little bit of warmth given as charity will be infinitely magnified. So many years later, even though Hussen bullied me and made me sad, I still remembered that day when he held my hand and said, "Come home with me, Grandma wants to see you." Grandma Hu took pity on me and left me to live in the Hu family. It wasn't until we became adults that she suddenly mentioned the engagement between me and Hussen. "Your engagement was made since you were kids, but Grandma still wants to ask you first. "Are you willing to marry Hussein?" My cheeks instantly turned bright red. I had always known about the engagement before my family went bankrupt. When I was young and full of youthful dreams, I dreamed of marrying Hussein, but later, I didn't dare to have such dreams anymore. I still liked Hussein, even more than before, but I also knew very well that I was just an orphan living under someone else's roof now. "Why don't you ask Hussein first?" I knew Hussein had someone he liked. So this engagement was destined to be annulled, but I didn't expect that Hussein actually agreed. It was not until the second month after marriage that I accidentally learned the reason. "You don't like Ranqing, do you? Why did you suddenly marry her?" The one speaking was Hussein's good friend, He Zhao. Hussein was leaning against the sofa, teasing the cat. He casually replied, "Qingnian married someone else." "It doesn't matter who I marry, Qingnian was the person Hussein liked." I pursed my lips and took 2 steps back. Before leaving, I heard Hussein say again, "It's just a marriage of convenience. I won't touch anyone other than Qingnian. Besides, I've always regarded Ranqing as my sister." He Zhao taunted him, "Marrying your own sister? You're really disgusting." After returning to the Hua family, I stuffed the divorce certificate into my bag and went to see Grandma Hua alone. If it weren't for her, Hussein and the Hua family wouldn't have agreed to the divorce so easily. "Grandma, thank you." Grandma Hua patted my hand. "If it wasn't for me making you two get married, you wouldn't have suffered so much. I'm sorry to you. Originally, I asked Hussein to let you raise Cece, thinking that he would often go and accompany you because of Cece." Grandma Hua didn't know that Hussein valued Cece because Cece was given to him by the person he liked. I squatted down in front of her with my eyes downcast, not saying a word. Grandma Hua sighed again. "If that child of yours was still here, would it be?" Hearing this, I immediately interrupted her. "It's all in the past, Grandma. I didn't want to mention that child too much." When I was leaving, Grandma Hua gave me a bank card. I knew I couldn't refuse, so I planned to give it to Hussein and ask him to return it to Grandma Hua. When I found him, he was talking to Aunt Hua. "Ranqing has had it too good in the Hua family. She's never suffered. After she lives a hard life outside for a few days, she'll naturally come back and beg me to make up." I stood behind him, tugging at the corners of my mouth, smiling silently, until Hussein turned around and noticed me. His expression changed slightly, his lips moved, but in the end, he still didn't say anything. I smiled and handed the bank card from Grandma Hua to him, then left. After walking 2 steps, I still couldn't help but turn around and look at Hussein. "Hussein, I won't come back." Hussein's long and narrow eyes glanced at me, and he sneered. "Don't be so sure." I smiled gently, not saying anything more. After all these years, Hussein still didn't know me at all. After leaving the Hua family, I immediately bought a plane ticket to Hong Kong. This time I was going there to fulfill my dream. When I was 18, I've been in the entertainment industry for many years. Some of the artists who debuted at the same time as me have already become top-tier stars, while I'm still completely unknown. When I was studying, those teachers who praised me for having the looks of a leading actress, being full of talent and aura, could only sigh in disappointment when they mentioned me later. Once, when I went back to my alma mater, I happened to hear a teacher comment on me. "The gods have blessed her with acting talent, but she just has to throw away the bowl." Before, I always thought that people couldn't have a perfect life. There are gains and losses. Just like Hussein said, it's not easy to be Mrs. Hua. It really wasn't easy to be Mrs. Hua. The first request Hussein made to me after we got married was to quit the entertainment industry. I tried my best to fight for myself. Being an actress is my dream. But in Hussein's eyes, my dream seemed extremely ridiculous. He showed me undisguised mockery. "Dream, Ranqing, I don't want to hear you say this again." I've forgotten how I managed to persuade him to make a concession at that time. I only remember that Hussein was very unhappy when he left that day. He said, "If you want to keep acting, you have to do as I say," in order to meet his requirements. I could only take on some insignificant supporting roles. For me, being able to keep acting was enough, but later, paparazzi took pictures of me and him in the same frame. I was recognized as a third party by Hussen's rumored girlfriend at that time and was scolded on the hot search. Can we make our relationship public? I begged Hussen to clarify for me. We're husband and wife. Why should I be called a third party? I don't want to keep being cursed and abused by netizens. Hussen didn't even look at me. His tone was cold. It's common for artists to be cyberbullied. If you can't accept it, it only proves that you're not suitable to be in this industry, Ran Qing. You might as well take this opportunity to see yourself clearly and quit the industry as soon as possible. After that incident, I was in a state of being forced to quit the industry. I tried hard, but no director was willing to accept an actress with a bad reputation. Not long ago, I finally managed to pass the audition for a small role, but was replaced by Hussen. I thought I had no chance to appear on the screen anymore, but on the day after I proposed divorce to Hussen, I suddenly received an audition invitation from a director in Hong Kong. The director was Yubushi, a very young, new director. I found the address in the email. I introduced myself to the staff. Hello, my name is Ran Qing. Ran Qing. The staff member looked up at me. His expression exaggerated. He was stunned for a moment, then immediately reacted and turned around to shout inside, Axie. The staff member said something in Cantonese that I didn't understand, but that sentence made everyone present stop what they were doing and look at me, until Yubushi came out from inside. His face was dazzling and flamboyant, not losing to male celebrities in the entertainment industry at all. I thought inappropriately perhaps he shouldn't be a director. He should rely on his looks to make a living and be an idol. Hello, I'm Yubushi, Ran Qing. The audition went smoothly. I also stayed in Hong Kong and started preparing for this drama. The staff member I met that day was called On. After we got to know each other well, I couldn't help but be curious. What did you say in Cantonese when we first met? On spoke with a Hong Kong-style Mandarin accent. Nothing much. I just said, Axie, your female lead is here. Axie has been preparing this drama for a long time. He's been waiting for you, before. He sent you a lot of emails, but you didn't reply. Before, my email and social media accounts were managed by my assistant. All my work was selected by my assistant and then asked for Hussen's opinion. It wasn't until after the divorce that I had the right to check my own email and choose my work. Ran Qing, you know what? On sneaked closer to me. Actually, Axie is a die-hard fan of yours. Before he could finish speaking, a strong light shone from behind. It was Yubushi bringing supper. Before On could even finish his sentence, he ran away as soon as he smelled the food. Seeing that I didn't move, Yubushi came over and asked me, "Aren't you going to have some?" I shook my head, not hungry. The night wind in Hong Kong carried a salty and damp smell. Yubushi sat down next to me. "Aren't you eating?" He also smiled and shook his head. "I'm not hungry either." I suddenly thought of what On said and glanced at Yubushi uncomfortably. This glance was not obvious, but he still caught it. Yubushi frowned slightly in confusion, then seemed to think of something. He looked back at On and asked me, "What did On say to you just now?" I hesitated for a moment before saying, "He said you're my fan." "Yeah." Yubushi admitted it without hesitation. "I really am." I was stunned for a moment. Originally, I thought it was just On's joke. "I've watched all the works you've starred in." His words made me suddenly agree with On's description of him as a die-hard fan. Thinking of those works of mine that were labeled as bad movies, I rubbed my nose in embarrassment. Yubushi seemed to see through my thoughts. He said, "The movies were really bad, but your performances were all great. Ran Qing, you're an excellent actress." Tonight, there were many clouds, and no starlight could be seen. But I seemed to see starlight shining in Yubushi's eyes. After my parents passed away, it seemed like it had been a long time since I heard someone affirm me like this. I was stunned in place for a long time. During the 5 years of my marriage to Hussen, I was always being denied. As an actress, I had no achievements. Hussen said I wasn't suitable for acting and advised me to quit the industry early. As a wife, I couldn't win my husband's heart. My mother-in-law told me to find the reason in myself. It wasn't until I left the Wu family now, I suddenly realized that I wasn't as bad as they said. I was good, and there were people who could see my goodness. In Hong Kong, they pay attention to ceremonies. After a grand opening ceremony, the film crew officially started working. The next time I received a call from Hussein was on a late night after filming. He seemed to have been drinking. His voice hoarse as he asked me, "Where did you go? Do you know that Cece is injured?" I didn't expect him to call me again. After being stunned for a while, I opened my mouth to remind him, "Hussein, we're already divorced." After thinking for a while, I continued, "If you're too busy at work to take care of Cece, you can send it back to the old mansion or hire an aunt to take care of it." There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. I thought Hussein might have sobered up a bit. He explained to me, "I drank too much. That's why I called you. Sorry for disturbing your rest." I gave a soft and walked to the window, telling him seriously, "Hussein, don't call me again in the future." After that, I hung up the phone and blocked his number. By the way, these days of filming were exhausting. After taking a bath, I almost fell asleep as soon as my head hit the pillow. When I woke up the next day, I suddenly saw the news in the group that the filming was suspended. I instantly woke up. I immediately called Yubushi. After making several calls and he didn't answer, I called on Ranching. Axie said the filming will be suspended for these 2 days. The investors suddenly withdrew their funds, and Axie has gone to communicate with them. I don't know why, but I suddenly thought of the call Hussein made last night. It wasn't that I was being oversensitive. It was just that when I thought of what he said when I left the Hua family dash. Ranching has had it too good in the Hua family. She's never suffered. After she lives a hard life outside for a few days, she'll naturally come back and beg me to make up. A chill ran through my heart. Later, I finally received a message back from Yubushi. It was just 2 words, "Open the door." I quickly put down the script and jogged to the door. Before opening the door, I was still thinking that I would ask him what had happened when I saw him, but when I saw the casual smile on Yubushi's face, the question on my lips was suddenly swallowed back. It's strange to say, but he seemed to have some kind of magic. As long as I saw him, all my restless emotions would be soothed. An said, "You didn't have dinner tonight. You said you wanted to try this place before. I passed by on my way back, so I packed a portion for you." Yubushi handed me the lunchbox in his hand. I took it and smelled the aroma of black bone chicken soup. I had heard from An that there was a place in Hong Kong that made very good black bone chicken soup. Unfortunately, I had been filming in the crew and never had the chance to try it. "Thank you." After saying that, I suddenly noticed that the expensive watch Yubushi always wore on his wrist was gone. Not only the watch, but his clothes and shoes were also replaced with ordinary street stall goods. There was even a 15 yuan price tag on the collar of his t-shirt, and the key to his sports car was nowhere to be seen. I hesitated for a moment before asking, "Will the crew start filming tomorrow?" "Not yet." Yubushi paused, then continued, "Everyone has been very tired recently. Let's take 2 more days off." He sold his car, his watch, and maybe even his clothes and shoes, and since filming couldn't start yet, it meant the funding problem hadn't been solved. "Yubushi, can you do me a favor?" He was from Hong Kong and knew this place better than I did, so I asked him to help me find a reliable pawn shop. My mother's bracelet was the only valuable thing I had on me at the moment. When my family went bankrupt, this bracelet was originally taken to pay off debts. Later, somehow it ended up in Hussein's hands. The day after he was photographed being intimate with one of his rumored girlfriends by the paparazzi, I received this bracelet. I thought Hussein probably regarded this as compensation for me during these years of marriage. I received a lot of compensation, but when I left the Hua family, I only took this bracelet with me. Over the past few years, the price of the bracelet had increased a lot. 9 million. Is that enough? I handed the card to Yubushi. "You sold the bracelet for me." Yubushi held the card, looking at me blankly. Emotions were surging in his eyes, and he had a look of being overwhelmed. "You did it for me. You." I interrupted his speculation. "It's not for you. It's for our movie. And it's for myself." "Yubushi, you should know, it's been a long time since I've filmed. It's not that I don't want to, but no one comes to me, even if I take the initiative to approach others. They don't want me. So Yubushi, do you know what this movie means to me? Yubushi's sports car was replaced with a second-hand motorcycle. He sat on the motorcycle, his long legs touching the ground. The expression on his face changed several times. From a bit disappointed to firm and serious. Yeah. Yubushi rubbed the card in his hand. I won't let you down. I believe in you. I smiled and replied to him, and I believe in myself too. But in the end, Yubushi returned the card to me. He said, we don't need that much. 3 million is enough. Back at the hotel, after thinking it over, I still bought a plane ticket back to Bay City before going to bed. Before take-off, I received a text message from Yubushi. There's a fireworks show at Victoria Harbor tonight. Do you want to go and see it? I replied to him, I'm on the plane, going back to Bay City to take care of something. He quickly replied, the crew will start filming tomorrow. Can you come back? I can be back tonight. After thinking for a while, I added another sentence. Maybe I can catch the fireworks show at night. Okay, waiting for you to come back. I smiled and turned off my phone without replying to his last message. Today was a working day, and Hwasun should be at the company. Hello, I'm looking for Hwasun. The receptionist hadn't seen me before. Sorry, you can't go up without an appointment. When she heard me say Hwasun's name, the man in a professional suit behind her sized me up. See, these days, as long as a woman has some looks, she wants to find a sugar daddy. She probably doesn't know that our president is never short of beautiful women around him. The man's voice wasn't loud, but it was just loud enough for me to hear. I glanced at him and didn't explain. I was hesitating whether to unblock Hwasun from my blacklist and make an appointment to meet him. Suddenly, I looked up and saw Hwasun's special assistant coming down from the elevator. The special assistant also saw me and trotted over. He asked me, are you here to see President Hwa? I'll take you up. I nodded. Hwasun looked a bit surprised when he saw me, but he quickly regained his composure. With a slight sneer on the corner of his mouth, decided to come back. I didn't say anything. I walked over and put the card on his desk. When I left the Hwa family, I took my mother's bracelet. I returned some money to you before. The rest is in this card. Hwasun frowned. He glanced at the card on the desk and then looked up at me. Where did you get the money? He knew that when I left the Hwa family, I took nothing but that bracelet. I had no money. I sold the bracelet. Hwasun was in disbelief. You sold your mother's heirloom. That was the only thing she left you. After saying that, the sneer on his face became even more obvious. Ren-ching. Hwasun was used to showing this superior attitude in front of me, for the sake of our acquaintance for so many years. If you come back now, you can still be Mrs. Hwa. He thought I couldn't make it outside, and that's why I came to him. In Hwasun's eyes, I was probably just a canary suitable for being kept. He never thought highly of me. No need. I refused him in a calm tone, but Hwasun was still very angry. He threw my card on the ground. Ren-ching, did you come back just to pay back the money? I didn't understand what he was angry about, but I still nodded. When I was about to leave, Hwasun suddenly asked me, do we need to be so clear-cut? Of course we do. I looked at him seriously. Hwasun, I paid back all the money I owed you. From now on, we're even. Hwasun sneered. The Hwa family has raised you for so many years. Do you think this little money can make us even? I was stunned on the spot. After reacting, I suddenly felt angry. Hwasun, when my family went bankrupt, I was in my senior year of high school. The tuition had been paid in advance, and there was still money on my meal card. So in that half year, apart from going back to the Hwa family for meals occasionally during holidays, I didn't spend a single cent of the Hwa family's money. Later, when I was in college, I had scholarships and didn't trouble your uncle and aunt to pay any expenses for me. After we got married after graduation, you gave me a card. When we divorced, I returned that card to you. You know, I didn't touch a single cent in it. After saying that, I picked up the card on the ground and put it back on the table. I paid you back 8 million before. There's 6 million in this card. The extra is for my food and accommodation in the Wu family over the years. Son, you should have only spent 8 million to buy back that bracelet, right? So I didn't take any advantage of you, nor do I owe you or the Wu family anything. I smiled and looked into his eyes, calculated carefully. It's you who owe me more. But I was willing to give those, and I won't ask you to pay them back. After saying that, I turned around and left. Behind me was Wasun's angry voice. What do I owe you? Explain it clearly. I didn't answer and didn't look back. When I came out of his office, I saw the man who had said I was trying to find a sugar daddy at the reception. He eagerly pressed the elevator button for me and sent me off with a forced smile. It was already dark when I landed in Hong Kong. I was about to send a message to Yubushi when I looked up and saw him already waiting at the pick-up gate. How did you know I was on this flight? Yubushi said. I guessed. Sitting on the back seat of his second-hand motorcycle, I suddenly said, you should have sent me a message to ask, then you wouldn't have to wait for me at the airport all day. The roar of the motorcycle and the howling wind drowned out my voice. Yubushi didn't hear this sentence. It was too noisy and lively tonight. Victoria Harbor was bustling with people, and the fireworks were blooming in the dark night sky. I said. The fireworks are so beautiful. Suddenly, I heard a faint "You're beautiful too." It was already a year later when the movie wrapped up. In this year, I often received strange calls and text messages. Every time I answered the phone, there was silence on the other end. The text messages were also just some casual greetings. I guessed that the person sending the messages was Wasun, so I would block these numbers every time. Sometimes I really didn't know what Wasun was thinking. A person who didn't care much about me before started to care about me after the divorce. Ranching, congratulations on the successful completion of filming. Grandma told me some things I didn't know before. Can we make an appointment to have a good talk when you're free? Just then, a hot search push popped up. It was another rumored affair between Wasun and a popular young actress in the past. As long as it was related to Wasun, I would click on every message and read it carefully. He rarely contacted me, and he seldom replied to the messages I sent, so I could only learn about what he was doing recently from the hot search before, but now I just casually swiped away the pop-up, calmly deleted the text message, and blocked the number. After packing up my things and coming out of the dressing room, I happened to see Yubushi and An. I don't know what An said, but Yubushi lowered his head and smiled softly when he looked up again. He took away the cigarette An was about to light. An pouted and complained. What? You won't even let me smoke? Yubushi casually threw the cigarette into the trash can next to him. We're going to have dinner together later. Ranching doesn't like the smell of cigarettes. Smoke when you get home after dinner. An raised his eyebrows and teased him. Axie, you're different to Ranching. Do you like her? Yubushi smiled and didn't deny it. So An continued. Axie, if you like Ranching, go after her. There are so many people who like her. If you're not proactive, someone else will be. My heart skipped a beat, and I didn't notice my steps. After coming out of the hospital, Yubushi sent me to the hotel. He stopped at the door and asked me, can I walk you in? I sprained my ankle severely and could barely stand. Director you, if you don't want to walk me in, I might have to crawl in myself. Yubushi smiled and carried me into the room. When he went to the bathroom to get a towel for me, I suddenly thought that many times before, Yubushi would stop at the door of my room. He never easily entered the room of any actress. Someone joked with him. There are a lot of paparazzi around here. Our director Yu cherishes his reputation too much. Yubushi explained. I don't care about myself, but it's hard for actresses to refute rumors. Almost no one in the crew had a bad word to say about him, with a person like him. It's no wonder everyone respected and trusted him. Hearing a knock on the door, I asked Yubushi to open it for me. Who is it? I turned my head and just saw Wasun's stunned face outside the door. He frowned and sized up Yubushi, then his gaze passed over him and landed on me. Hussein asked me in a questioning tone. Who is he? What are you doing in the room? Ranching, have you forgotten your identity? I had always hated the way Hussein talked to me with this condescending attitude. When I liked him before, I could convince myself to be tolerant, but now I felt there was no need for me to keep tolerating. What identity? I maintained the posture of turning my head and asked him coldly, Hussein, have you forgotten that we have no relationship anymore? It seemed that Hussein had just remembered that we were divorced. His expression froze for a moment, and he looked bitter as he asked me, Ranching, can we have a good talk? I had nothing to talk to him about, but I knew that with Hussein's personality, if I didn't agree, he would keep pestering me. He was a person who wouldn't give up until he achieved his goal. Fine, what do you want to talk about? Hussein didn't answer, but looked at Ubushi. Ask him to leave. I laughed coldly. I understood that he didn't want others to know about our relationship. I looked at Ubushi. Before I could say anything, Ubushi sensibly said, I'll go out. If you need anything, just call me. After that, he lifted his feet and walked out. As the two passed by each other, the looks they gave each other were obscure. The door was gently closed. I asked Hussein, what do you want to talk about? Grandma said that we once had a child. Hussein's tone was urgent. Is this true? If he didn't believe Grandma's words, I don't think he would have flown all the way to Hong Kong to see me. It's true. I didn't tell him before because I knew he didn't care. Now that he already knew, there was no need to hide it anymore. I asked him, did you come to Hong Kong especially because of the child? Hussein seemed restless. He looked at me and shook his head. Yes and no, Ranching. I've missed you a lot since you left. These words made me laugh involuntarily. My reaction made the expression on his face even more desolate. I'm telling the truth. I just didn't realize that I liked you before. Believe it or not, you've been in my heart for a long time. I continued to laugh, just like he had mocked me countless times before. Hussein, don't be too persistent about things that are already lost, whether it's me or that child. The child between Hussein and me was conceived by accident. Hussein had said that he wouldn't touch any woman other than Qingyan. So that time, he had drunk too much when he had a relationship with me, and at that time, I had a bad cold and was too weak to resist. When I woke up the next day, Hussein had already left. I endured the soreness all over my body, got up and took cold medicine again, and finally fell asleep again. It wasn't until a few months later when Grandma noticed something was wrong and took me to the hospital for an examination that I found out I was pregnant during the spring festival. You were in a bad mood and accidentally pushed me into the water. You thought I could swim and would be able to get up by myself, so you turned around and left. But it was winter, and my clothes were heavy. After getting pregnant, I was always sick, and it took me a great deal of effort to barely get to the shore. Later, when I went to the hospital, the doctor said I had been in the ice-cold water for too long and suggested that I give up the child. Hussein's pupils dilated sharply. His lips quivered, and he stared at me for a long time before saying, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Whether he knew or not didn't really matter. With his attitude towards me at that time, even if he had known, I don't think he would have kept the child. It doesn't matter, all of this is in the past. Maybe it's lucky that a child who wasn't expected by his parents didn't get to be born. I looked at him and smiled. Hussein, do you have anything else to say? If not, can you leave? I want to rest. Hussein could tell that I was chasing him away. He slowly turned around. Just as he pushed the door to the room open, I called out to him, Hussein. Hussein quickly turned his head to look at me, his eyes full of expectation. Ubushi should be outside. Can you ask him to come in for me? Thank you. I watched as the light in Hussein's eyes gradually disappeared. He smiled self-deprecatingly. Ranching. His name isn't Ubushi. Hussein looked back at Ubushi, who had just come over, and then continued to say to me, his surname is Ji. He's the only son of the Ji family in Hong Kong. You've known him for a long time, right? He didn't even tell you his real name. Seeing the gradually stiff expression on Ubushi's face, I knew what Hussein said should be true. After Hussein left, Ubushi, no, it should be Jibushi. He helped me to the bed. I said to him, thank you, good night, but Jibushi still stood by my bed. Not showing any signs of leaving, he asked me, Ran Qing. Do you have anything to ask me? I shook my head. No, everyone has their own secrets. Besides, the relationship between Yubushi and me wasn't at a stage where we had to be completely honest with each other. The movie was released simultaneously in Hong Kong and on the Chinese mainland. After finishing my work in Hong Kong, I returned to Bay City. Everyone thought the movie's huge success was a fluke. But I knew from the beginning that this movie was bound to be a hit, and I, as the lead actress, was sure to make a spectacular comeback. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been willing to sell my mother's bracelet. I saw Jibushi again on the third day after I returned to Bay City. He suddenly appeared outside my house, dragging a suitcase, and asked me cautiously, Ran Qing, can you take me in for a couple of days? Suddenly, I remembered the night I left Hong Kong. I went to say goodbye to him and I heard him confide to Ran Qing is going back to Bay City. Rolled his eyes at him. Haven't you confessed to Ran Qing yet? I'm afraid it will be too abrupt and make her unhappy. Axie, you're so smart, but why are you so clueless when it comes to Ran Qing? Jibushi sighed. I don't know. I'm always too cautious and worry about gains and losses around her. He glanced at the beer handed him and shook his head to refuse. No, Ran Qing doesn't like drunkards. Said, she's not here. Even if she's not here, I can't drink. I'm afraid she'll dislike me if she finds out. I looked at Jibushi outside the door and smiled silently. I asked him, what are you doing in Bay City? Jibushi said, I'm here to pursue you, to tell you that I like you. His sudden directness made me a bit flustered for a moment. My first reaction was actually to pretend not to hear and try to muddle through and escape. Jibushi seemed to see through my thoughts. He sighed, Ran Qing, I knew you'd react like this. That's why I've been afraid to confess to you. You can make bold decisions at work, but when it comes to emotional issues, you choose to escape. I consulted a doctor friend, and she said your situation is because you've been hurt emotionally before. So you use the way of escape to protect yourself. Ran Qing, I'm not coming to Bay City to ask you to give me anything in return. I'm just here to tell you that I like you. You don't have to force yourself to break out of your protective shell, nor do you have to like me that much. It's enough that I like you, Ran Qing. You just need to accept my love and enjoy it. He was silent for a moment, then suddenly apologized to me softly. Sorry, am I scaring you? Actually, I prepared a lot of things to say to you before coming to Bay City, but I can't remember anything when I see you. Looking at his nervous and uneasy appearance, I suddenly thought of myself in the past. The suitor is humble, and the one being loved is arrogant. I smiled. I stepped back and let him in. When the crew called me to look at the hot search, Jibushi was asking me what I wanted to eat. Ran Qing, see how you want to handle this. The crew will cooperate fully. When I opened my phone, there was a huge wave of abuse towards me on the internet. The incident where Wasun's rumored girlfriend identified me as a third party a few years ago was dug up by someone with ulterior motives. How can someone with such a problematic character still make movies? To be honest, the movie's huge success is mainly due to the director and the script. Any actress could have made it a hit as the lead. Can Ran Qing get out of the entertainment industry? I couldn't clarify before because my account was managed by my assistant, but now that everything is in my own hands, I don't have to keep silent and endure these baseless accusations. When I was about to post a clarification on Weibo, I suddenly saw a statement Wasun had just posted. Ran Qing and I are husband and wife. After all these years, he was finally willing to make our marriage public, but my heart didn't stir at all. I deleted the words I had just typed and re-edited, posting the duration of my marriage to Wasun and the time of our divorce. In an instant, the public opinion on the internet reversed. I looked at Jibushi, who was preparing dinner, and suddenly said, Jibushi, I've been divorced. Yeah, I know, he replied softly, and then continued to deal with the ingredients. At this point, I knew I didn't need to explain anything to him. During dinner, Jibushi confessed his secret to me. Yu is my mother's surname. My father doesn't support me making movies. He doesn't allow me to use the G family's connections, nor does he allow anyone around me to lend me money. He wants to force me to go home and inherit the family business, saying that I don't have the talent for making movies. I have to admit that he's quite right. I really don't have the talent. I looked at him in confusion. Nonsense. Everyone says you're a genius director. Jibushi shook his head. That's because of you. With you as the lead actress, I was able to make this movie well. Ranching, some people can't see your radiance, but they gilded me, who just borrowed a bit of your light. At night, lying in bed, I saw Jibushi's statement of quitting the industry. He said, "I've never been a genius. The movie was successful because my lead actress played my lead actress. After winning awards for the movie, I gradually got more resources. After visiting a senior and preparing to leave, I suddenly saw the community security guards trying to catch a kitten. I suddenly thought of Cece. This kitten looked a lot like Cece, and even the bib around its neck was exactly the same as the one I bought before. I thought of something and went up to confirm. As soon as it saw me, the kitten immediately meowed at me. It broke free from the net and ran to my feet. After seeing the name tag on the kitten, I finally confirmed that it was Cece. I asked the security guards, "What are you going to do with it?" The security guards shrugged and smiled helplessly. They didn't say anything, but I understood that if I let them take Cece away, I'm afraid Cece wouldn't survive until tomorrow. I was still soft-hearted after all. I took Cece and went to Wasun's place. It was a coincidence that I happened to see someone coming out of Wasun's house. It was He Zhao. I hadn't seen him for a long time, and he seemed like a different person, looking and decadent. I suddenly thought of the gossip I heard some time ago about him trying to stop a wedding in Yunqing with a toy gun. Wasun saw me and came over in a hurry. You know He Zhao. He offended someone, and his grandfather is going to send him abroad, so he came to say goodbye to me today. I wasn't interested in his friend's affairs. I just handed Cece to him. Cece got lost. I happened to run into it on my way back. Cece was naughty, and it had gotten lost before when I was taking care of it. I thought this time was the same as before, but Wasun threw Cece away in disgust. It didn't get lost. Wasun kicked Cece impatiently. I don't want it anymore. You divorced me because of it. You hate it, so I don't want it either. He looked up at me. Ranching, can we start over, this time, without Cece? We can live a good life again. I looked at Cece, which was extremely afraid of him, and my heart felt icy cold. Although I didn't know what Cece had gone through to become like this. But I knew that the culprit must be Wasun. No, since he didn't want Cece, there was nothing for me to talk to him about. I turned around and left with Cece. While driving, Cece kept lying on my lap. No matter how many times I pushed it away, it suddenly became very clingy to me and would act cute and please me, just like it used to do to Wasun. But even so, I still didn't plan to keep it. I'm soft-hearted yet ruthless. I won't forgive those who have hurt me, whether they are people or cats. Ranching, seeing my car, Qingyan came out of the yard. I met Qingyan at the movie premiere. She waited for me backstage for a long time. When she saw me, she was very excited and asked if we could take a photo together. She said, "Ranching, I'm your fan." In fact, the moment I saw Qingyan, I recognized her. There was still a photo of her at the age of 16 in the drawer of Wasun's study. The 16-year-old Qingyan didn't look much different from her in her 30s. "Is this the stray cat you mentioned?" Qingyan stroked Cece. "This cat looks a lot like the one I gave away before. I wonder if that person took good care of my kitten." My heart skipped a beat, and I suddenly asked her, "Who did you give the cat to?" Qingyan's mind was all on the cat, and she casually replied, "A neighbor before." The breeze blew my hair. I twitched the corners of my mouth and smiled. Maybe Wasun didn't expect that in the mouth of his white moonlight. He was just a neighbor. When I was leaving, Qingyan promised me, "Don't worry, Ranching, I'll take good care of it. You know, I really like kittens." After I divorced Wasun, I basically cut off contact with the family, but Grandma was suddenly called me. She said she was ill and wanted me to visit her. Grandma had always been nice to me. Since she was ill and wanted to see me, I definitely had to go. I asked Jibushi. There's an elder who has taken good care of me and is ill. Can you accompany me to see her? Jibushi was eager to do so. After quitting the industry, he became my little assistant. He couldn't wait to stick to me all the time. Plus, the Hua family was the investor of this movie. I know this kind of trick can only deceive you once, Ranqing. Hua Sun said he knows he was wrong. He wants to see you. He wants to ask you to give him a chance. As she said this, Hua Sun was standing beside her, looking at me with burning eyes. I completely ignored him. I pulled Jibushi and introduced him to Grandma Hua. Grandma, I brought my boyfriend to see you today. His name is Jibushi. Hearing this, Hua Sun reacted violently. Impossible. You're lying to me. He was about to reach out and pull me, but Jibushi immediately stood in front of me. At the same time, Grandma was stopped Hua Sun, Ranqing. It's Grandma who is muddle-headed. When we left the Hua family, Hua Sun chased after us relentlessly. Grandma was suddenly slapped him across the face. How much longer are you going to make a scene? You're the one who is sorry to Ranqing. Now that she's doing well, can't you just let her go? The gate of the Hua family slowly closed behind me. After walking out of that gate, no matter how much noise there was inside, I couldn't hear it anymore. Today was a sunny day. Jibushi held my hand and asked me, "Did you just say I'm your boyfriend?" I looked straight ahead and continued walking. I replied to him as I walked, "Yeah." Jibushi's mouth curved up wildly. Ranqing, I knew it. One day, I'm sure I'll succeed in becoming your real boyfriend. The end.